Today we're going to talk about adverbs. A lot of you are probably asking, like, what is an adverb? It's that thing that modifies the verb or an adjective, telling you like the quality or quantity or how well or how poorly something is. Let me give you a list of some that you probably have already heard. So there's adverbs about affirmation, and I'm just going to pronounce these really quick. You may not have to know all these at the moment, so check your book. All right. Oui, si, aussi, presque, quand même, sans doute, wow. Surtout, and the negation, we have ne et pas, and in here would go the verb, right? Ne pas, ne pas plus infinitif, ne je plus, ne jamais, ne rien, ne que, ne personne, ne ni, non, non plus, pas du tout, jamais. Interrogation, comment, n'est-ce pas, ou, pourquoi, est-ce que. I know, est-ce que doesn't sound like what it looks like, but it's est-ce que. Quantité, this, you've probably already heard a lot of these. We have très, bien, beaucoup, trop, tout, assez, à peu près, autant, tant, si, combien, plus, or plus. Most of the time when it means more, it's plus, but sometimes you just say plus. Moins, peu, même, comme, ainsi, autrement, debout, ensemble, bien, mieux, mal, plutôt, tellement, seulement, comme ça. Alors, maintenant, encore, ensuite, enfin, finalement, tout à l'heure, tout de suite, puis, bientôt, tôt, tard, hier, avant-hier, demain, après-demain, aujourd'hui, après, d'abord, autrefois, déjà, quelquefois, parfois, souvent, toujours, jamais, ailleurs, en avant, devant, derrière, dedans, dehors, dessus, au-dessus, dessous, en dessous, en bas, en haut, en arrière, là, là-dedans, là-dessus, là-dessous, là-haut, là-bas, voilà, voici, loin, près, partout, nulle part, or où. So your list may not compromise all of this, like it might not be that big. So take a look and see which ones. And as you've been reading along with me, you've probably been like, wow, I should really be using those. We're going to talk about why. You're going to see, as you saw, quite a bit of vocabulary. You're going to see how we're going to place them. And we can even form some new ones. So let's talk about how this looks with and without adverbs. We have je mange le chocolat. Je mange le chocolat souvent et partout, often and everywhere. So this really gives a lot more detail to our sentence. You could have elle arrive le matin, she arrives in the morning. But you can also have elle arrive toujours tôt le matin. She always arrives early in the morning. Je t'aime or je t'aime infiniment. Infinitely. Wow! Je suis extrovertie et je suis énormément extrovertie. I'm enormously extroverted. So here we're really adding a huge depth to our language, and this is what you want to use. You want to use adverbs because you will sound way more fluent using adverbs. So there are several types, and we went through that whole list, and here's the ones for affirmation, and I'm going to show you each on those lists and an example of probably the one I would probably use the most, but again, pick some from each of the ones that you want if you're studying on your own, or check your book. So, j'aime aussi les livres drôles. Moi aussi. Aussi being used a lot because it means also. Notice where it's placed is placed after the verb, or when it's a short phrase, sometimes they're either by themselves or just connected to a noun or an adverb. Negation. We talked about all of these. Remember, there's a verb in each of these dots. And then some of the ones we use the most. Je n'aime pas les escargots. Moi non plus. Pas moi. Notice you can just have pas moi, not me. So c'est très important. Non plus means me neither in this case. Interrogation. So these are basically question words for the most part. Est-ce que tu aimes le chocolat? Notice it goes before the sentence to create that question. And that is also pretty common. But again, with est-ce que, it's one of those ones that doesn't really mean anything enough. And so you could just leave it out and say tu aimes le chocolat. So again, they can be placed in front of quantité. This is really going to make your sentences sound amazing because they're going to tell us how much. So I love these. So, je suis une personne un peu bête, comme ça. Je suis, oh, oops, typo, une. We need a U here. Je suis une personne assez optimiste. Et je suis une personne très honnête. So, I'm a little stupid or silly. I'm rather optimistic and I'm very honest. J'aime peu les sports. I almost don't like sports. I like them so little. Je mange assez de pizza. I eat a rather amount of pizza. And je danse beaucoup. I dance a lot. So each of those gives us a bigger idea of how much each of those things works. So notice how they're placed. Each of these in purple is an adjective. So notice how the adverb that gives that quantity or qualifies that adjective is placed right in front of it. And as for the verbs, these are adverbs that are placed right after the verbs because they're telling us how often or how much we do those verbs. Okay, de manière, also very important. We use these quite often. So, nous travaillons bien ensemble. We work well together. J'ai seulement $10. Tu peux me prêter un peu plus? I only have $10. Could you loan me a little bit more? Je danse beaucoup mieux que je chante, which is so true. So tough. Madame Wa est tellement bizarre comme professeur. And notice again, I'm putting in bold our adverbs. You're seeing that they're coming right after the verbs. Except for this professor, which normally you would think of as a noun, but notice here it doesn't have the article in front of it, so it's actually an adjective. So it's acting like an adjective, and comme is then that adverb giving us more information. Temps, time, very handy because it will really help other people know when we're talking about things. Maintenant, sortez vos livres. Now, open your books. Il arrive au travail tôt le soir. He arrives at work early today. J'arrive tout à l'heure. I'm arriving soon. And aujourd'hui, on va apprendre comment utiliser les adverbes. Today, we're going to learn how to use adverbs. Demain, nous allons nous réveiller tôt le matin. So tomorrow, we're going to wake up early in the morning. Notice how each of these gives us tons more details that we're going to use. And placement, we're placing them before the thing that they signify, but here with things with time, we can put them at the beginning of our sentences if we want to, so that's handy. Lieu, places, so this has to do a lot with some prepositions as well, giving lots of wonderful detail, and please tell me you've heard of Eddie Izzard and his little le chat est sur la chaise, le singe sur la branche, la souris sur la table. If you haven't, this would be the link that you would need to go to. I will try to post that below because it's so funny. And basically these give us location, where something will be located. And so they're placed before that direct object that se trouve loin de la place. It's found or located far away from the plaza. But creating some adverbs, we can make our own adverbs. Well, technically they've already been created, but if we're thinking of an adjective and we're thinking, you know what, I really just want this to have that ly, because in English, sweetly, quickly, gracefully, slowly, slothfully, all of these are adverbs, and we can do something very similar, you know, where in English we just add an ly, well in French it tends to be ment. And I know the ones we just talked about didn't have that ment, but this is how they are formed, okay? So here's our lovely list. Oh, sneakily, I love it. So if the adjective that you want to turn into an adverb ends in a vowel, then we just have to add that ment. So vraiment, rapidement. Now if it ends in a consonant, like an X, then we change that to the feminine form. So then it ends in a vowel, and all we have to do is add ment. So heureusement. If it ends in an ent or ant, we actually have to take off that and add ement or a and then ent. So knowing how things are spelled in the original form is going to help. And then we have évidemment. Now, there are lots of exceptions, or, well, some exceptions to this rule. So, nouveau, it ends in a vowel. Normally, you just add mont to the end, but here we're going to say nouvellement. We're going to use the feminine form anyway. Same thing with fou. It ends in a vowel. We're still going to put it in the feminine form when we normally don't do that, and say follement. Gentil, it ends in a consonant, so you would think, I should make that a feminine, or it ends in a, consonant. So you think, okay, I should change it to its feminine form. But you don't. It's you just pretend that maybe that gentil, you never pronounce the L. So I like to think it's a sound, that it sounds so much like a vowel that we're going to treat it as a vowel and just take off the L and add M-E-N-T. Long, normally, with long, that ends in E-N-T, E-N-T, we normally change that to E-M-M-E-N-T, but then it would be la main instead of lentement. So we're going to actually use the feminine form. Précise, normally we do turn it to a feminine form, but here we're going to have to put an accent. So there are a few exceptions that are going to need an accent on that E when we turn it into a feminine form and add M-E-N-T. Definitions. New, crazy, nice, slow, precise. So then those would just be LYs. When we have two verbs, so if we're using a future proche, what we want to be able to do is use the future proche with adverbs as well. So normally with adverbs, they go after the verb. But when we have two verbs, what we do is if they're short adverbs, we put them between the first verb, so basically after the first conjugated verb. But if they're long, they end in M-E-N-T basically, then we put it after. So je vais aussi voir, so it goes in between, it goes after the conjugated verb. But this one's so long, it's going to go after both of them. It's slowing it down, it's so long. So je vais voir équitablement ce film. So we're all going to go see this movie. Je vais manger beaucoup, I'm going to eat a lot. Beaucoup, I know it seems like a long one, but it's something that we use often, so it's considered a short one, I guess. But M-E-N-T, je vais manger énormément, I'm going to eat a lot. And so basically long goes after both, short goes in between. And this applies also with passé composé. If you haven't yet learned passé composé, close your eyes for a moment. This might be too confusing, but if you're about to learn it, it might be helpful. J'ai aussi vu ce film. So again, it's right after that conjugated verb before the past participle. Here, the adverb is after both of them because it's équitablement, and again, it's long. J'ai beaucoup mangé, I ate a lot. J'ai mangé énormément, I also ate a lot, but again, M-E-N-T, so it's going to go after both. So, so that was placement. So we also use adverbs with comparatives, mostly because we're going to use plus, assez, and moins to compare. So I eat more chocolate than you. I do as much crafting as you. I make, I do less sports than you. C'est vrai. Je fais moins de sport que vous. C'est sûr, c'est absolument sûr. Je parle plus que vous. I speak more than you. Je danse assez bien que vous. I dance as well as you. Je dors moins que vous. I sleep less than you. That's because I have kids. Don't have kids until you don't want to sleep. So superlatif is similar to a comparative. It compares, instead of comparing one thing to another, it's saying this is the best. So you're going to see the, and the plus as well as pire for the worst. So je suis la plus putelée, I'm the most chubby. Mon mari est le plus intelligent, he's the most intelligent. Notice how we have la because I'm a girl, et le because he's a male. Ici, bien, mon fils parle le pire, he speaks the worst. Pure being worst. So placement. With negation, it's going to go around the verb. With time, it can go in front of the sentence. With place, le lieu, it's going to go before that direct object. But in general, for the most part, short ones are going to come after the verb or after the auxiliary verb. Long ones are going to go after both. So overall, what we've learned today is vocabulary, but check your book because you might have different ones where they're placed, as well as formation. If you have any questions, let me know.